All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call the meeting to order for the Upson County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday. I believe it is November the 23rd. At this time, if you would rise for our invocation, followed by our pledge. And Ms. Jones will take care of that for us tonight.
You bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come thanking you for all of your amazing blessings. Lord, we thank you for another opportunity to gather. And God, we ask that you be in the midst. And Lord, we ask that we do business that is pleasing unto you. God, we give you thanks for another Thanksgiving. And Lord, we're grateful for all of your many blessings. These blessings and others we ask in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jessica. Would you join me in the pledge? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Well, if the board will allow, we're going to deviate just for a second from the agenda, and we have an introduction we'd like to make, so I'm going to let Jason take care of that.
So, Mr. Chairman, it is my privilege to welcome the newest addition to our staff, to your staff, Ms. Jessica Hudson, who will be serving in the capacity of Community Engagement Coordinator. So just a little background, and I'm not ashamed to tell you I'm reading from what she wrote, not from what I wrote. So she actually wrote her own press release. But to give you a little background, she was raised here in Thomaston, graduated from Upson Lee in 2002. Following her graduation, she attended Mercer, where she completed an internship in public relations and marketing at the Georgia Music Hall of Fame, and earned her Bachelor of Business Administration with a concentration in marketing. So upon completion of that degree, she taught literature and composition at Upson Lee High School for 3 years. She has since worked in various industries, including healthcare, recruiting, and manufacturing, where she honed her skills in inside sales, marketing, and public relations. So most recently, she's managed and created social media and public relations content for companies within the pavement, marking, and manufacturing industry. So it's with great pleasure I welcome our new staffer. And I know you're probably going to put her on the spot and ask her if she wants to say something, but that's all I have.
I didn't. You did. Anything you'd like to say?
I'm just very excited. I think this is going to be a great opportunity to engage the community in what you guys are doing. So I'm very excited to be here.
Glad to have you.
Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for everybody who participated in the process, and at the end of the day, this is we look forward to sharing the news of everything that's going on in the community, and look forward to your innovative ways of doing that. So thank you for coming tonight. Okay, next on the agenda is public comments, and we have that down there. All right, so we have 2 for public comments. So if you're new to this, I know Mr. Self's not. When I call your name, if you would, please come forward if you don't mind, so that everybody can hear you. State your name, your address, and you have 5 minutes. And it's not a dialogue, it's just your 5 minutes to tell us what's on your mind. So with that, Mr. Thiel.
First, I'd like to thank y'all for allowing me the opportunity to speak to y'all tonight. I don't have a lot of time, so I need y'all to listen fast. I'm going to read so I don't ramble also. For the last several years, the citizens and visitors of Upson County have suffered an unnecessary detriment to their health due to the inadequate leadership and management from the current ambulance service provider, Community Ambulance. And the sad part is that was 100% avoidable. The management of the current provider turned their backs on the citizens of Upson County years ago. It shows in the way they treated their employees, the way they staffed their trucks, and their willingness to leave this county uncovered. They have now left you, the commissioners, hanging too. If that isn't the definition of inadequate, I don't know what is, and that'll become significant in just a moment. One of the key components to the future of this community's 911 service is the 911 zone provider license. I don't know where you all stand on the license, so I'm going to give you the three options as I see them. One, we allow a private or corporate provider to assume the license, and then we find ourselves in the exact same boat that we're in right now. Two, we fight for and regain the license and contract a provider and wind up much like our neighbors in Pike County, where we change providers like folks trade out their cars every couple of years. Or the best option, in my opinion, is we regain the license and invest in the life safety of our community and establish a county-based emergency medical service. There are some who will tell you that you cannot get your license. That is not correct. I have asked for and got this from the state, and what they use is OCGA 311132 subsection D, and it reads, before issuing a license to a government or governmental agency for a new ambulance service, a license officer shall establish that due to inadequate private service, the public's convenience and necessity require the proposed ambulance service. This past week I had breakfast with our commission chairman, and he asked me a very good question. He said, who determines what is adequate? And I thought for a long time, and I finally responded to him, and I told him, I said, the citizens of Upton County, if this board hasn't heard the horror stories of ambulance shortages as a result of the units running calls in other counties doing non-emergency transports, personnel shortages, or no paramedics on duty at all, which all have contributed to excessive ambulance delays and inadequate patient care. In one case, waiting over 50 minutes on a cardiac arrest for an ambulance. And your 911 service is a treasure trove of information just like that to prove that point. If you are not aware that the citizens of this community are fed up with the inadequate way the current ambulance provider has failed this community, then you're tone deaf as to what your constituents want. Don't let anyone blow smoke up your tailpipes either. Other communities have their own government-based emergency medical services. You can and you should too. If Taylor County can have one, you can too. The fact that EMS has that great big E at the front of it means that there's an inherent expectation of the unknown. This board is supposed to be the defenders of the public's trust, which means you have both the moral and ethical obligation to ensure that the life safety of everyone in this community has the best emergency medical service possible. I know that sand is running through the hourglass, but we need to be deliberate and smart rather than fast. You will either invest in your own quality service, or we'll settle for another private provider that will take what they can get, and then we'll be right back here again. There's literally a small army of medics ready to come back to work in Upton County if you start your own service. There's an equal amount of those people ready to walk if you bring in another private service. The opportunity is here, and the door's been open for Upton to open the door and make a bold move. I want y'all to know that the eyes of every concerned citizen is watching you right now, because you probably won't have this opportunity again. And that's the God's honest truth. Mark Twain once said, change doesn't happen by chance, but by choice. And as a concerned citizen, I encourage you all to please choose wisely. Lives are hanging in the balance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. Okay, next, Mr. Self.
Certainly that's Gary Self, 226 Roberts Loop. It's hard for me to follow something like that with what may seem to be trivial, but it's not trivial to me. This is about the waiver that the people have to sign at the Civic Center. This thing is absolutely ridiculous. There's no doubt. Let me just say this. My people went out there Monday when it rained and were turned away. Said, if you didn't sign the waiver, you don't play. And I had been told to my face by Shaka that if I went up and played, I would be arrested. I was told that again Monday, not by Shaka, because she wasn't there. Okay, there's the problems I got in this waiver. It starts off with, I attested I've had a physical within the past year. I haven't had a physical probably in 20 years. I've got to go get a physical to go play pickleball at the Civic Center. That's got to cost me? No, I'm not going to do that. Now, it also says I do hereby release and hold harmless Thomaston Recreation Department, Upson County, and other representatives from any injury that I may suffer in the normal course of participation in activity, whether as a result of negligence, gross negligence, or any other cause. I've got to just give up my rights completely to go out there and play, and I'm not going to do it. Also, it says I certify that I have health insurance. Why does the Civic Center or this county have the right to tell me I got to have health insurance? That ain't right. Now, I'm gonna jump off of that. I'm a big participant of the library, the Hightower Library, and the parking lot is ridiculous. It needs to be repaid. You know, so put that in your list, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sutton. Okay. No one else signed up for public comments, so moving along. These are ugly glasses, so forgive me. All right, better to see, I guess. Gentlemen, next on the agenda is the consent agenda, and on the consent you'll see the approval of the November 1st budget work session minutes, the approval of the November 9th regular meeting minutes, and approve the draft of the 2022 Commission District map. Is there a motion on the consent?
So moved.
Is there motion and seconded by? Okay. You got that?
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna have to abstain on the regular meeting. I did not attend that meeting. I can approve A and C.
Okay. Not sure how we do that. You abstain from all, or I mean, we pulled it. We can pull. You got that? Okay. All right. Well, in that case, Jessica, call for vote.
Commissioner Ellington,
Consent agenda A and C. Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
Chairman Allen.
Yes. Okay. Moving along. New business. Discussion of EMS services. And you want to lead that off?
Sure. Yeah, and I know we've had it's really been dominating the conversation for all of us individually and when we're in small groups. But just for the, just to get everyone up to speed that, may have not know all the details, we had our first scheduled call with the Deputy Director of the EMS office that we requested to get an understanding of how the state and the regional council was going to manage the process for this zone and this license that is now open and being vacated by community. So that was about an hour-long conversation that the chairman and I were on. So just to give you some timeline details. So first, and this is all according to either state law or administrative code, and I've got all the applicable codes here. They're going to open the zone for proposals for that first 10-day period. And that 10-day period is not going to, they're not going to open it until after the holidays. So we're talking about at the end of December. So that'll start a running clock, basically a 20-day clock. The first 10 they're open for proposals. Once day 11 starts, regional council, as in the advisory council, EMS council for Region 4, it has the responsibility of reviewing those proposals either as a group, as an entire council, or they can elect a subcommittee to do the review. And it sounded like from the director they were leaning towards subcommittee, but we haven't had as you all know, I serve on that council as well as Martha Ann in the back and our hospital CEO. We've got our first meeting on this scheduled after Thanksgiving, so we don't know how that process, whether it's going to go to a subcommittee or they're going to keep it at the full council. So that will happen between day 11 and then day 20. The council will then must make a determination and a recommendation to the state as to who they would recommend for that zone moving forward. Now, in the meantime, they gave us some helpful hints, and they were very open, very casual, and we talked about a lot. We talked about every possibility under the sun, whether that's acquiring the licenses, the county, and what that would take legally. and they're doing some research on that, and we're doing some research on that as well. They're talking about, whether or not, what are the possibilities that we would have, a number of serious, capable providers actually interested in the zone. So I guess casually they told us that they've had outreach from at least 3 major providers. We've also had outreach from those same providers. So before that clock starts, we're going to be having discussions with these providers in the background, trying to get an understanding of what they are going to bring to the table as far as service to our community. So we'll be having those conversations in anticipation of the clock starting, and then by then we should know what all of our legal options are and be able to present to the board about what our strategy should be. And either the chairman's been plugged into the process the entire time. I mean, I think it's important that he stay plugged into the process, because it's gonna take all of our collective wisdom to navigate through this. But I think one of the things that I learned through the conversation with the deputy director is that the current provider has no operating standards for the zone. Any future provider for the zone will have to meet or exceed all the standards that they agreed to through this process. So I guess when the zone came open before, the process was different. Therefore, there were no standards that that EMS council could necessarily hold the provider to. That we now know that will not be the case moving forward. So if it stays a private service and the private service is recommended for approval up to the state, at bare minimum, we know that there's going to be standards that they'll have to adhere to, which we didn't have in the past. The application that the services will have to fill out already exists in administrative code, so it's going to be the DPH application that they're going to be filling out. So I think it's incumbent upon us to know and understand, try to get an idea of who's interested and what their intentions are. So they told us that was perfectly proper for us to be having these conversations in the background, either before this process starts or while the process is going on. So, and then lastly, we did confirm that myself, Martha Ann, and Jeff, our hospital CEO, will not be able to vote when it comes to that ultimate recommendation. So I think that about sums it up, Mr. Chairman. I mean, it was an hour-long conversation and we covered a lot of material. I don't think I'm leaving any of the big stuff out. We communicated to them that we're going to pursue every option, and they were accepting of that, and they were totally understanding. So even if it's a long shot, we're going to explore it. I guess that's the best way to put it. So I don't know. Did you feel like you needed?
Yeah, and we've been working on this. I mean, I went back and I just happened to look at a text or an email and on this subject, and it was a year ago. So this conversation's been going on for a year. We know we've had some challenges with the current provider, and in today's situation that we're in, it was extremely challenging. We have assurances from community that they'll continue to provide to the best of their ability until such time, and to assist with a smooth transition with whatever that is. This is a good time to we're like it was indicated earlier, we don't have a lot of time, but I think, Jason, we were pretty clear that we were not going to allow ourselves to be in a situation again where we did not have some control over quality and level of service.
Right.
I think she was and very understanding of that. So how do you achieve that when they tell us, and it's in the code that you have to be a licensed EMS provider to apply for the license, And there have been ways, and I've already heard them, talked to some folks, communities that have navigated through the system and acquired their zone, but it was with the help of an existing licensed EMS provider. So it has to go to a licensed EMS provider is what we're told.
Yeah.
And so I know you guys are already engaged on this. We're engaged, and I guess at this point, what I guess I ask my fellow commissioners is, we need you to have some idea of what it is you may be willing to do when called upon, as far as what potential cost, what that contract would look like, and all of that. So
I got a question.
yes, sir.
Is it still the case that we have to allow it open to private parties, and it's only when a private party doesn't submit an RFP that we can potentially obtain it, the license?
Jason's got good notes over there, and he's got the code section there. So
Yeah, I think I have that section highlighted actually.
Because that's the way I understood it before, but, I mean, just
Well,
in my mind, I would like to see the county do what they can to try to get the zone back in our hands. I mean,
the chairman alluded to one of the communities that we've been in touch with that was successful doing that, and it was because of the lack of submissions from private. So they were able to get a better, more viable solution by partnering with a provider, and then going back to the table with that proposal, because I guess the first round of proposals were not adequate as deemed by that council. So that was their opportunity to take advantage of that. Yeah.
And my understanding on that situation as well was there was no licensed EMS provider operating in that county currently.
Correct.
And that is, as we've learned, that they show 4, including the current one, currently operating in our county. So, I think we might need to look into that a little bit more, as how they qualify what's currently operating, because we know they're operating here doing transports if they're doing anything. So, but that is it's a complicating factor to our situation. It's just not clear cut. I mean,
if I may, Mr. Chairman, I think one of the bright spots is that since this news has come out, some of the outreach we've gotten from other providers are not providers that currently have service here. So, and they're well known. So it's not. So my hope is that there's a lot of interest from a lot of quality providers, so that we would have the opportunity to not be in the same situation we were last time.
So question. So for what I'm hearing, what I've read is in order to bid on this, you got to be a licensed. Up front, you got to be a licensed provider.
Yes.
Or, as you say, piggyback off somebody. The only way to piggybacking off of another
well, I
provider.
want you to cut over that. I don't even think we could really. Well, they did kind of say that. I guess if a licensed provider already had an agreement with it, that might be considered.
So. I think that's actually, they're researching that for us.
Right.
I
So
think
we're out of the loop. We're in the same position today as we've been in the past, and moving forward if licensed providers submit a proposal. Now, I'm assuming that we could throw our hands up, no, but still that's going to be the decision of that council, right, in the state.
It's a recommendation by the council, it's a decision by the
The
state.
state makes
Right.
the decision, no matter what. The final decision rests with DPH. I think there was one thing that I left out, in that we were, where we were confused is that if you follow process, there's a few other counties that are in this situation. If you follow historically those processes, those are somehow subsidized services. And the chairman and I, our main concern was, well, how could anyone submit an RFP to the regional council with an assumption of a subsidy? So you know, so they were very clear that they can't commit us to anything. That we've got, you know, if we're going to have skin in the game, then we're coming to the table. And they did confirm that. So that they're not going to approve anything that includes the subsidy without input from the county. So,
So I assume by having these talks with these licensed providers that are potentially interested on submitting to this, then if we requested something above the basics, and I'm not sure what those basics are, it would be you know, that will be something we would have to work out with that provider.
right, that's right, exactly right. Yeah, and I think ultimately the basics is going to be up to this board. So what that level of service is, if there's a willingness or if there's a possibility to partner, then obviously if it ends up being a subsidized service, then that gets us.
Well, I mean, you know, and this might sound like a crazy question, but I'm not an expert at that, and I don't know anybody on this board is. So where are we going to get the information for the basics, what we need?
As far as you're talking specifically about the financial subsidies.
Well, not just that, but the services that we're going to expect on the basics.
Well, the one thing they're doing now, as in DPH, they're pulling all of the data. So we'll have access to all the data they have access to. So they're pulling it out of their statewide system. So all of the emergency data, all the NET or non-emergency transport data. So they'll have an idea, and then but if it's I guess who decides, you know, y'all decide what that level of service is. It's just a matter of seeking some recommendations and doing a little bit of analysis work.
So
I think the issue we've been having is that that minimum level of service that we were contracted to have wasn't being provided.
Right.
So, yeah. So we got to the stage where things declined. So.
well, as was mentioned earlier tonight, you know, an option of hey, the county getting the zone on our own, and it doesn't sound like, and I hear you, but it's not likely based on what DPH and the council is telling us. But if there was a situation, and we haven't given up on any of that, but if there was a situation where the county could either get the license up front, or if there was an opportunity to work with a provider that would allow us to transition to us getting it, you know, what would that look like for us? You know, you've heard mentioned, you know, earlier tonight, you know, countywide EMS, a county run EMS. So, you know, I don't want to discount anyone's ideas or anything like that, but I mean, there needs to be some thought into that as to that as well, you know, and you know, collecting some data on it. If it looks like it could go that way possibly, then obviously we got a lot more homework to do, because at the end of the day, it's, you know, how do you staff it, how do you equip it, and how do you operate it? And I know that we have tons of people in this room and in this community that have lots of experience in how to do that, but you know, it's a long-term commitment, and look, I think the bottom line is, you know, it's highly unlikely that anybody's going to come to the table and do this for nothing. So, but who knows? You know, and one of the things that we talked about on the call was, you know, the great thing that we have here is we've got a thriving rural hospital. There's probably a good level of paid business that comes through that hospital, and then the same thing with the long-term care facilities that we have here. So there's a lot of movement between people going to dialysis centers and things like that that hopefully will encourage qualified, viable providers to come to the community and be interested. And it sounds like that's the case. But we do have, you know, Upson Regional here, and Mr. Tarrant is on the EMS Council, and, you know, they have a vested interest in this, how this goes as well.
Just because I'm not aware of what county y'all was saying that had this thing where they were able to get their license by partnering. I'm just curious, did they have a local hospital?
No.
You know, and like you said, I understand.
It's a very rural community
Right,
next to
Next to
So I'll tell you,
a metro community.
I'll tell you, it's Chattahoochee County.
So, no.
Casita, yeah.
So we're gonna have a lot more interested candidates to come in and look at us based upon their return on investment.
Yeah,
hope.
we hope so.
We hope. But this industry, like a lot of industries, everything from paramedics and EMTs, you know, people with a high level of a skill, to people that build cupolas on courthouses. I mean, it's just people aren't there. So I think that, you know, we've got a lot of work to do. We ain't got a lot of time.
I think the good news is, I mean, one of our advocates is on the regional council, so one of the sharpest members of our community, and our CEO is on the regional council. And I'm kicking in third, but I'm on the regional council, so it's, you know, we're gonna make it as transparent as we can humanly make it. I mean,
And I'll say this to everybody that had, took the time to come tonight. You know, talk to us. You know, I mean, we're leaning on you, and I mean, you know, I mean, there's years and years of experience back there at the deck plate. You know, old sailor term, at the deck plate level, and so we value your opinion. But just ask you to be patient with us. You know, because we have to be patient. I mean, I don't like the fact that, you know, timing is not good. I mean, and I completely understand the department and the council's decision to put this until after the holidays, because having the resources and making sure that we can do this right, while, you know, so we'll get there. But I can tell you, you know, I'll let these guys up here speak for themselves, but I can guarantee you I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure we never end up in a situation where we don't have any options when it comes to when there are disruptions in service and quality of service. You know, our community is too vibrant. We have a lot to offer with our hospital, and I mean that's who we are. So we'll get it right, man.
There's no simple solution. There's nothing going to be quick and easy about this. We're going to have to listen to somebody that got the answers, and we have to make a decision once we hear from the experts that give us a reasonable explanation as to what needs to happen.
Anybody else have any other comments on that? Because the last thing I'll say about it, and this is going to be as open and transparent of a process as you'll ever see. You know, if you got any questions, you call us. You know, I mean, you know, obviously when it gets down to, if it ever comes down to that, it's likely that we would be negotiating a contract. There'll be times, I'm sure, that we can't talk about things, but any chance we get that we can talk about the way that this process works, it's going to be done this way. So, any final thoughts? You know, Mr. English, y'all going to be busy. I know you already busy. So, anyway, all right. There being nothing else on that, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and it is a presentation on the Flint River Water Trail. And Sarah, we appreciate you coming tonight. Dave wants to make sure you speak loud. So
Okay, hi everybody, I'm Sarah, I'm the park coordinator over at Spur Bluff. So my presentation will be on the Flint River Water Trail and why we should join in and be a part of the Flint River Water Trail. Okay, so for the purpose of this is to expand the Flint River Water Trail to include all of the upper Flint. Currently, Meriwether is the only county that has, that is considered part of the Flint River Water Trail. But they have invited Upson, Pike, Talbot, and Spalding to also be included, and their hopes is to combine all of the counties all the way down to the bottom of the Flint River. So what is a water trail? It is the water equivalent of a hiking trail, or paddle trails are all water trails. It has access points along the river, like trailheads for putting in boats in the water or taking them out for kayakers, anglers, suitable for day trips and canoes, kayaks, paddleboarding. They can be various lengths and are used by paddlers, anglers, hikers, picnickers, and they may have many benefits for relatively little investment. So currently, this list is all of the water trails that we have in Georgia. On the image that you can see that we have right there put up is orange is all the developing water trails, and the green is all of the established water trails. So you can see the Flint is that orange one with the kind of curve in it going all the way down, and that's us. Okay, so benefits of the Flint, or of a water trail. Help citizens to enjoy and advocate for the vitality of the rivers. It promotes environmental stewardship, so people actually help take care of the river. It provides tourism, visitorship, and they are actually developing a Flint River Water Trail app that people can use through a QR code that will be on kiosks that they can just scan it, download it, and it will tell them the location on the river, nearby boat ramps, access points, campgrounds, hiking trails, the different water levels depending on where you are on the river, and difficult areas along the river. I already said provides designated entry and exit points for floaters and requires minimal investment, which I've already said. This is what I pulled from their site. It's just got some statistics about Georgia and the water sports along rivers or lakes. 1.8 in state and local tax revenue. Approximately 1 million paddlers in Georgia, and I know out at the Bluff that is a big hit for us. We see a lot of paddlers and anglers down at the river, especially during the summertime. We get pretty busy. So criteria to be a part of the Flint River Water Trail is we would need a resolution drawn up for support of the Georgia River Network by the commissioners. Water Trail is sponsored, maintained, and promoted by a local entity or partnership. Publicly accessible areas that paddlers can legally access and safely unload boats and park vehicles. River access sites that are appropriately spaced. Water access to public overnight camping sites, depending on the length of the trail or where they can enter the river and exit. Information about the water trail provided to paddlers through a website and illustrated maps created by the sponsoring entity, and signage and kiosks placed at all water trail access points. And then the next one is budget concerns that y'all may have. We already have a boat ramp, parking area, restrooms provided, picnic facilities, camping facilities, and trash cans. So the only thing that we might have to consider is just the river trail signage itself. And that's the gist of my presentation.
That's good. So what does the signage consist of?
So we don't currently, it would just have to be like a nice kiosk right there by the boat ramp, and it would have just the whole map of the Flint River Water Trail designating all the entry and exit points for them. And it would have that QR on there so that they can download the app that I had mentioned, so they can get all that information.
So does it include mile markers on the river, so when people are traveling the river, at points of reference?
I'm not sure.
That's a
about
big
that.
thing for Martha Ann.
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Come on, guys. You got a
Mr.
question?
Chairman, I have a question. I'm super glad that, because honestly, I hadn't even had time to review that until Sarah just gave that presentation. But I'm assuming that other communities are a lot further behind on these amenities than we are.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So,
It is.
yeah, because my main concern, and I think it was Commissioner Ellington, I think we chatted about, what additional projects are we have to take on to qualify, but it sounds like as long as signage is the only hiccup, then this might be kind of a no-brainer. When I was kind of worried before that we'd have to do either additional development work or somehow alter our plan, which we took a long time to establish. So it sounds like neither of that is accurate.
What, now, others have done this, and obviously have done it around the state. Are there any naysayers out there? I mean, because I know that I would suspect there are some that probably would be opposed to this.
What do you mean?
I mean, have other communities had groups or individuals come out and speak out against this type of development?
Not that I'm aware of. All of the counties that were involved to the meeting that I went to were all interested in joining to be a part of the Flint River Water Trail.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. So this thing's evolving. Is there a board? Is there
Well,
who's making decisions as this evolves that what future obligations may be?
that's true. So you're supposed to have a local champion, whoever comes to the meetings about furthering the project and how that's moving along. Currently, it's Carolyn with the Chamber of Commerce over in Meriwether is the one that has reached out to the different counties. So I was the first to go. We can designate me as a local champion or somebody else, and then they just go to the meeting, and there's Gordon Rogers with the River Keepers, Rena Peck with the Georgia Rivers Network, and then just other local communities that come in and tell them their progress, also what else maybe their next step may need to be.
I kind of got from your presentation that, was there a need for you said partner? Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about like having a corporate sponsor or local government sponsor?
Well, just to like clean up possibly like the boat ramp. So we're
already doing that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was sponsorship signs.
Right. And future obligations, I mean, you always have to be concerned. It's all in the fine writing. I mean, everything sounds great on the surface, but future obligations, at any time, if this for some reason became against what we're trying to do as a community, we could just step away from this.
Right. That's a good question. We have to look into that. But I think pretty much Meriwether, they've completed all the tasks, and they have like a website up. I don't think it's necessarily, I don't know, I have to look into it. I don't know the right answer for that.
And may I ask just a quick follow-up on that question? Are you to assume, not confirm, that essentially what we would be agreeing to via resolution or what have you is that we just, essentially we would be maintaining what we already have? Is that your understanding?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, but we'll confirm that, okay.
But not going up and down the river, picking up their trash. Just our area.
So 426 miles of paved road surface. We're bad.
To piggyback on Commissioner Ellington's question about the committee, I'm still a little confused. So it's a committee? Do they report to anybody from the state level?
I don't think they have like a committee technically formed yet. They had one for Meriwether County when they were in the process of making or joining in with the Flint River Water Trail and establishing it, because they're the first county that's jumped on board to do it. So I know they're just currently working with other counties, seeing like where they're at, and that's why I presented to y'all today to see if y'all were interested in doing that. And I think from then on out, we'd have to have like kind of a committee, maybe based just for Upton County, to see how our progress is doing and what our next steps may be. But we're also working with these other people that can steer us in the right direction on what we need to do, if that makes sense.
All right, so it says, I'm reading this other that wasn't part of your presentation. It was in our agenda here. And so Meriwether County's noted it just completed its 28-mile section. Well, that's the same section we're using, right?
Well, I
Majority.
think they have established more boat ramps on their side of the river. Yeah, because they're on the opposite side.
How many,
Mr.
does
Chairman.
anybody know how many miles we have?
That's a good question. I think they were gonna look into that for us.
The designation comes from DNR, or where is it? So, where?
From the Georgia, Rivers Network.
Okay.
Yeah, RENAPEC.
Now, is that government or is that private?
Nonprofit.
Private.
Okay. So I guess at this point, nothing just yet. It's just to put this on our radar. Doesn't sound like it's going to take a whole bunch of our attention units away from all the other stuff we're working on. Just need to, for the board to just say, hey, yay or nay, and not tonight, obviously, but then staff can draft up the resolution, and if that's the route we want to go. And so, Ms. Sarah, it's good to see you again. I do want to tell you this: the company my wife works for just recently came down and they rented out every cabin and rented out a lot of the
Yes.
the RV sites. And she came home every night and said, and I guess these people came from a lot of different places, and they loved it.
Good.
They said that a lot of them were avid campers, and they loved it down there. So it's one of the best places they've been. Yeah, yeah. So thank you.
We appreciate that.
Thank you to everybody. Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is update on the T-Splosh Phase 2 closeout. And I see Alex is back there. So I know, and I'd ask for you guys to come because, we're trying to dot the I and cross the T on this last phase of this paving project. And we're ready to get that one done so we can move on to what's next.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, we're substantially complete with the paving and resurfacing of all the roads. None of the roads have been closed out yet. There'll be a lot of striping and shoulder work going over the next couple of months. The majority of the roads will not be able to be closed out until the spring, once we get warmer weather, so the shoulders can be stabilized. UMC will be doing inspections and working with CW Matthews closely to get all the roads closed out that we can over the next couple of months. And once they're closed out, a 1-year warranty will start. And we'll be obviously working with CW and Upshur County Road Department on addressing any warranty issues over the next year. But I think the project was very successful. Should be on or under budget. So, but as far as the paving portion of it, it's pretty much complete.
Okay. Anybody?
And when do they get paid?
So there's retainer right until we close all the roads. We hold that retainer until the roads are closed up.
So they get paid, what's the retainer, 10%?
Was that held throughout the whole
Yeah.
life of the project?
Of the $7 million, yeah, so it's a significant chunk of money.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I've actually got a few more things to add. And this is from Alex's colleague. We're in the final striping on several roads with the subcontractor, working on them as recent as November. Hope to have this finalized by mid-December. EMC had scheduled a meeting with CW Matthews at 1 p.m. December 1 to review damaged areas along Mount Carmel and to develop a solution for that portion. CW Matthews has several roads where they need to restabilize the shoulder. Due to timing, they may not get permanent vegetation until next spring. They're fully aware of the grassing requirements and will comply. EMC has not officially requested Upson County to accept any of the roads at this time. The 1-year warranty has not taken effect. We anticipate offering final inspection acceptance, if applicable, by mid-December. Many will be subject to permanent vegetation as described in the previous item. And we're about 92% paid on the contract.
Anything else? I just, one of the things that I had asked is, we talked about reassessment. We paved so so much of our road inventory, it's probably behoove us now to go out and look at another type of reassessment. And we've talked about this, and Jason and Alex here, is a preservation program. You know, I don't know what we need to do to get to a point, but and obviously, you know, it's going to be tied to what we've got left in squash and T-squash for roads. But is that one of the 30 plus items that are on your to-do? Our dashboard is I mean, I don't. You probably, I know you haven't
Well,
committed it all
we actually
memory,
have we actually have a demo scheduled. I think it keeps getting pushed back. Remember the old Alabama Road project?
we were gonna.
So the update on that.
Next spring.
Yeah, it'll be next year now.
Oh, and looks like some Alex and his crew are attending what sounds amazingly exciting, a pavement workshop in Auburn in December.
Depends on where it is.
Yeah.
We're going to Vegas for that? No, I'm just kidding.
Auburn, Alabama.
So I think I speak for everybody up here. So road reassessment and pavement preservation. And I know our road superintendent should be very involved in that process and what those recommendations will be. So that covered. I don't like speaking for you guys. I like you guys speaking.
Well, you know, when are we going to start working on our next short list of projects for next year?
We've still got to determine our
LMIG project. That'll be the next.
So I know we've all got some that are in our hip pocket. Now we just got to figure out if he's got a way to pay for it.
Some of them done moved into the top pocket.
Some of them moved out of your district and others moved out of districts.
And we just approved that, didn't we?
Yeah.
The state hasn't approved it yet, though. All right. You need anything from us?
Nope, we'll be in touch, start gauging you on the next LMA and the road assessment and all that stuff.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this surface treatment stuff holds up through the winter. And yeah, I mean, I still like surface treatment as an option when you can get it a third of the price of the asphalt, but I'm not sure I'm real happy with Willis Road. To me, looks great except for a spot or two.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe it'll hold up for another 40 years like it did the first time.
Talking about Quigley or what?
Nah, yeah, that's one. My neighbors don't care for it too much.
Yeah, I know.
It's just, they came out, they put the rock down and they sat there for so long, and then before they came and put the seal down, they swept it, and they swept a lot of rock off the road. So I know y'all are looking at it.
Yep, we'll be working closely with CW to make sure everything is up to par for everything.
Yeah, everybody likes to tell you they got better pavement options out there. You know, you got ACCG and half the marketplace down there are people that want to do micro seal and all this stuff. And I think we're open to those ideas. We'd like somebody to come and talk to y'all, talk to us, maybe demo a product or something like that. I know we're working on it, but it'll be springtime before we see that.
I know this ain't the time and place, but speaking of the library parking lot, how is that happening?
It was
It was already on
already on the list to do.
It's already on.
So that's a field project.
No, that would be an EMC project.
Okay. I know it has. I mean, it's just a seal coat, right? There's no new. Is it completely new asphalt? So it's probably springtime now.
Service crew?
Micro seal, really fine surface. So
No tar and gravel down, anything will hold.
okay, all right. Thank you. Appreciate your time. All right, moving right along. We get into comments. Jessica, you got anything?
I don't have anything.
Nothing. Heath,
I don't have anything.
Jason.
Mr. Chairman, I've got three. One, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid and get it out there. I had an update call, which I invited you to join me on, since you could hear what I was hearing.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
I had
All
a-
right. Yeah. All right.
with Precision Planning, SRS Roofing, and Campbellsville Industries. I don't have a lot of details, so I fear that another delay is imminent.
I concur with your assessment of the content of that phone call. I mean, it was a very candid call, I'll tell you all that, and let them know that in no uncertain terms that, you know, English Law Group has already been engaged on this, and I don't see any other recourse at this point, and we made it abundantly clear to them that, you know, we did not contract with Campbellsville, Kentucky. We contracted with SRS, and I think they completely understand that.
They do, yeah.
So,
I think the only thing to add to that comment is that they are making progress, but it's extraordinarily slow.
Is it still due to the lack of workforce?
It was material.
I would give you the line by line, but
yeah, you don't want to hear about
their trouble.
that.
Staffing is an understatement, I think. But my other two comments, and then I'll conclude, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
My son Joel is watching the meeting from Morristown, Tennessee right now, so I want to say hello to my son Joel. And lastly, as thankful as I am this season for my community, for my family, I don't say this often enough, so I'm going to put everyone in the same category here because I love them all. I just want to say thank you to my staff. It has been a wild couple years, and we're all exhausted, but we're all getting it done. So I just want to say, if you work for this organization, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is all.
Mr. Wild?
I have a couple of things I want to say. First, I want to say welcome aboard, Ms. Hudson.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think you know her dad.
Huh?
I think you know her dad. Used to sit up here, right?
Steve?
There you go. Made the connection there.
Yeah, well, anyway, welcome aboard.
Thank
Good to have you. And we look forward to wonderful things from you. All right, and my next thing I want to say is happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We want to wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Eat all the turkey and whatever, the fixings that go with it, and enjoy yourself and be safe. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Appreciate everybody showed up tonight. You know, we used to have a few people show up. We don't have many people show up anymore, but I appreciate everybody that showed up, and I want to, you know, say this is a good time to give thanks for everything that God has blessed us with. And I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Mr. Ellens?
Also, I'd like to welcome Jessica. I remember at a lot younger age. I was a lot young too. Welcome aboard. I look forward to working with you, as I said before. I think you bring a lot to the table. I'm excited. You know, one of the biggest problems we have here as a community is, believe it or not, it's communicating. And a lot of times things get communicated by social media that it's not fact. And it's important if we all have the same information. You can all come up with a different conclusion, but everybody needs that same information to get that conclusion. Also, I'd like to wish everybody that's here a happy Thanksgiving to our staff and employees of the county, and you know, into the passionate EMS, EMT, paramedic folks that we have here tonight. Thank you. You know, as we stated before, we're going through a process. You know, I want to make it abundantly clear this process has not been in our hands prior to this. I don't know that we'll have an opportunity for it to be in our hands after this decision is made. But we are concerned. We are, you know, I'm a citizen here too. I'm concerned. I live out in the county, and I'm concerned about who's going to show up when I dial that number. So we do take it serious, but you know, I think everybody sitting up here, we have to have the facts before we can make those decisions, because a knee-jerk reaction can get you in a bad situation. But thank you guys that showed up tonight for what you do. And thanks to everybody that's here as a member of the community. We need this. We need to have some interaction with the community. It's difficult to sit up here and make decisions when we just don't get any interaction with people. And it's difficult. I work a full-time job. I'm like most in this room. I'm not retired. I work a full-time job. And it's difficult for me to get out in the community and talk to everybody that I need to talk to in order to get the information. So this is a great way to let us know what you're thinking, is show up to the meetings. I mean, it sounds, this might sound a little corny, but I'm encouraged when I see people here. And I know that different passions bring different folks out for different things, but we need more passion in the community to show up. And this is our community. And we need to control our community with our ideas. That's all I got to say, Mr. Chairman.
Couple things. Well, obviously, y'all said a lot of it, but you know, thank you to our EMS. Y'all been through a lot this past year, especially with what we've been through in the pandemic. So just appreciate all that you guys do for us. And I agree. I think we're all on the same page. We're going to do everything we can to get a better service. I think ultimately is what the goal is. How that shakes out is still kind of the unknown. But then also, reiterate what Jason said to our staff. We put a lot of pressure and items on their list, and I'd like to say thank you to Jason and Jessica, their team, and then also English Law Group. We've been putting a lot on your plate, and our other contract people like EMS. We've been putting a lot on their job task, and I appreciate everything that they do to make sure it gets done.
Okay, and then I'll just close. And, to echo what Commissioner Ellington's talking about, I mean, that's, been one of our biggest challenges, and one of the things that we've worked really hard on is getting the word out. And, and we've been handcuffed with the, with COVID and everything like that. Town hall stopped and all that stuff. Even the crowds and the coffee shops. Some of that has gone away. So I'm excited that have you here, and you're gonna help us help you get the word out and fill this room up. I mean, because at the end of the day, we want our citizens engaged, and we want them informed. We've got a lot of folks engaged if you pay attention to some of the stuff on here, but are they informed? And so it's our obligation to make sure that they're at least informed. I can't control what they say, but just try to make sure they're informed. And speaking of which, I had the privilege, and I'm not going to stand up, I'm going to just hold this. I had the privilege of accepting this award when we were down at ACCG a week ago Sunday, and this was our recognition as a county, Georgia 2021 Georgia County of Excellence. And I want to thank the staff. There's a lot of projects that we could have put in, I think, that would have qualified us as a county of excellence in Georgia. And but I think one of the things that was unique was the heart and soul, and the investment in heart and soul. So it was good for us to go and get recognized by our peers in the 159 other counties, or 158 other counties, for this. And I want to thank the staff, and I want to thank Luke for helping put this together. It's one thing to do the deed, but sometimes you got to get the words on the paper to get the recognition. So thank you for helping us with that. And I'm going to pass this down to Jason and Jessica. And lastly, thank you for the community, and that includes our staff. I mean, there's a lot going on, and if you haven't paid attention to our community in the last 6 years, I'll go 6 years, or you could probably narrow it down to the last 3 or 4. My wife and I were riding down Highway 19 last Friday night, and just the look and the feel of the community in our retail corridor has changed. I'm excited about what's about to happen in downtown Thomaston with their announcement, and everything that's going on with that. And I've said enough about, things are tracking, so a lot of good things are happening. And I look forward in the next few years that we get this courthouse project done, and a couple other things that we're working on. So enjoy your holidays, catch your breath, but don't slow down. That's all I got to say. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you too.
Appreciate y'all. So if there's any other final thoughts, comments? Motion to adjourn?
So I move.
Adjourn. Thank y'all. We're still alive. Hey, we got a lot of wall space out there.